Well, thank you guys for being here. Welcome to our topic, reaching the full potential of NFTs. I'm going to give a quick second for everybody to introduce themselves. My name is Joey Richter. I am with Aardvark Technologies. We build solutions for wallet-to-wallet-based messaging, wallet-based community engagement, analytics, and marketing solutions. And I'm just going to go down the line here and let everybody else introduce themselves.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marko Sulejdzic. I am a professor at University of Florida and a founding director of the blockchain lab at University of Florida. We have recently received a very large grant from Algorand Foundation and have become one of the 10 universities around the world that represents the Algorand Centers of Excellence. We have been on the forefront in the state of Florida with offering education to our students in the realm of blockchain and supporting both entrepreneurship and research. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tor, founder of Secret Foundation. We're one of the many entities that support Secret Network, which is a layer 1 blockchain where you can do private smart contracts. In fact, it's the only layer 1 where you can do privacy-preserving smart contracts, which also means we can do things like privacy-preserving NFTs natively in the ecosystems. We have a lot of NFT activity in our ecosystem. Privacy unlocks, 1,000 times the use cases and utility for NFTs. So I was excited to get to talk on a panel specifically about, NFT utility, the future of NFTs, making them actually more meaningful and more useful beyond just speculation. And I think all of us on this panel share that mission to make NFTs truly useful for the world.
I'll agree with that. Hey everyone, I'm Halsey Huth, the head of growth and partnerships at MoonPay. We make it incredibly easy for everyone around the world to purchase cryptocurrency and NFTs directly with their favorite regular payment methods. And spend a lot of my time working with larger Web2 brands, helping them wade into the Web3 space and launch their own NFT strategies, usually a little bit more outside of the 10K PFP drop and more needing to scale out NFTs to millions and millions of users across the globe.
Hey guys, my name is Clement and I'm so happy to be here with one of the brightest minds in the industry. I know that I will also learn a lot. Otherwise, I'm the co-founder of a project named Bolis. So we are a sold-out NFT project, 10K pieces of PFP in collaboration with Crypto.com, and now we are building the game and the whole gaming platform later on. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you. As you guys can probably tell, we have an awesome panel today to talk about NFTs, kind of where we are, how we got here, and where we go. So with that, I kind of like to open this talking about blockchain technologies in relation to NFTs. Why do we need blockchain in order to serve digital assets in an effective way? We have these collectibles, we have these NFTs that serve various purposes. What is it about blockchain that gives us an advantage over maybe more typical programming solutions?
I can start. Having worked in this space for a long time now and having studied the role of blockchain technology in all kinds of use cases for the better part of a decade, when I was originally researching blockchain technology, it was actually for digital rights management. I was concentrating on the music industry at the time. Are there better ways of paying out royalties so artists can get paid faster, have more ownership and rights over their work? And what I discovered, and what a lot of people have discovered, is there's nothing really inherent to the technology necessarily that has to do with protecting rights for NFT creators. But the technology does do one thing really, really well, which is more around ownership for the collector. This idea that you can own something and no one can claim that you can't. It always gives you access to exactly the thing that you think it does. You can't have it taken away from you. Most NFTs work that way. And to me, that's the cool part about NFTs, this idea that it's sort of uncensorable ownership. There are some NFTs that don't really work that way, where you still can get them taken away from you because they're issued through a centralized platform and you don't actually have custody of them. Or maybe they're an NFT where somehow your right to use it is later revoked. To me, those aren't the real purpose or vision of NFTs. The idea was to create a better methodology of true digital ownership that's uncensorable, but you still have interoperability. These assets can now be used in any open platform anywhere in the world. So ideally, blockchain is used with NFTs to create more open gardens as opposed to walled gardens I just think that, and I think we'd all agree on this panel, we probably have a way to go before we actually achieve that vision, and we're still in danger of only achieving the vision we already had, that we already had in the legacy world, and we end up not improving on anything at all. That's always the danger with blockchain tech, because it's just tech. It can be used for bad things too.
So there are a lot of different advantages to NFTs, and we can talk about a lot of different things, but from the perspective of an end user, I believe that one thing that stands out is the immediacy that this technology allows us to deal with NFTs. So, if we look some decades ago and we look at the stock market, we would have to wait for the stock market to open to trade and send in our trades and stuff like that. And then slowly this technology improved, and we became much more accustomed to this immediacy that the market is just open all the time and that I can do whatever I want through a computer, through the internet. And now with NFTs, what's happening is this removal of a third party, where we have open markets that are open 24/7, and for somebody who is end user, that changes the game. It just makes it kind of well, that's kind of how I think world is in 21st century. I can't even imagine, what do you mean I have to wait until something opens, or somebody like Christie's wants to sell an art and I have to wait for an auction? No. I want all these things to be completely in real time and completely available. And this is what blockchain allows for it. There's no really magic about it, other than it's this, it's removing the third party, and the contracts are, final. There is a way for me to prove that I did what I did without the necessity of a third party in the way that is immediate. And another thing that I think is kind of unique, and it really just piggybacks on the same thing, is kind of a democratization of ownership of NFTs, where now with smart contracts, I can own an NFT outright, or I can own just partial NFT. And that was really hard traditionally. It's kind of hard to own half of Picasso, right? But it's actually super easy to own 1% of an NFT. If we want to buy we can get 50 people, just I'm owning a partial share of NFT. So it's moving the way that the financial markets are actually interacting. And in that sense, NFTs are really just in the background. It's a background technology that is allowing fundamentally different and new way of immediate access to the markets in the ways that we haven't had before.
I think it's also kind of taking a look at, is this tech even really needed? When you're going from the legacy side, looking at loyalty programs and ways people are shipping out classical kind of like in-game content, do they need to be NFTs? No, right? But once you open up that layer of kind of like activation, it lets you do more, right? So there's a certain level of collaboration, a certain level of like community ownership, where the activities that you can do and the outcomes that you have at the end of the day are going to involve more people, and it's going to allow more people to operate the way that they specifically wanted to operate. So I think to Tor's point, there's always going to be multiple tracks. There's not going to be a complete replacement of everything that can be considered legacy tech, right? It's not going away. It's not like Visa and MasterCard are going away. MoonPay is a centralized entity, right? And so I think it's finding how you kind of marry the two together, and it's what part of that legacy stack, what part of that legacy operation does it now make sense, right now make sense to bring it into that NFT realm? Because I think a lot of us up here have been looking at digital rights management and payouts to creators, and a lot of that has been stuck in the same format for the past 2 decades. And it really only makes sense now to kind of have that operational for artists, singer-songwriters, and video game studios.
Yeah, I think those are really great points. And speaking of that a little bit, you talk about some legacy systems, we talk about new systems. Obviously, we all know that this ecosystem is still new, and there are a lot of misconceptions out there about NFTs, what they are. There's preconceived notions about whether they're good or whether they're bad. Should we start thinking about changing the way we talk about NFTs? obviously, as we've seen in this kind of market downturn and bear cycle, we're not seeing as many NFTs for the sake of NFTs, which I think is a net good. I think we'd all agree that that's a net good. But do we have a responsibility maybe to change the way we talk about these and we market these in order to open them up to a broader audience and really reach the full potential of NFTs?
Yeah, I can. What I would like to do is maybe talk from the perspective of what we did or how the market was before, because I believe that there are some stages in the whole process. So, of course, a lot of people, we like to speculate. We like to speculate on things, and it was like really fun times, fun thing to do, and a lot of people earned a lot of money back then, you know. So coming from the perspective of our, let's say, 10,000 PFP NFTs, a lot of people was there. Why? To buy at the price of $200 and sell for, I don't know, $500. Make quick buck. And then, of course, you add this utility, you add layers to it, and hopefully, along the way, you know, you will win in the long term. But we also have to understand that we never know what is going to happen. In my opinion, regulation needs to come in, because now nothing is regulated. We don't know what we can do, what we cannot do. Nobody can do anything to us. We could do like a rug pull, people would be angry, but in front of, let's say, some legal authorities, nothing can happen to me. And that's the thing, you know, before reaching this mass adoption, some things need to be settled. And like you said, maybe we will not call NFTs in, let's say, 5 years' time. Maybe it's going to be something different.
I think the unspoken word in all of that is sustainability. And when we talk about our responsibility, like, it goes beyond language. Clearly, language matters, and how we talk about these technologies matters, but our responsibility, if we're the ones who are creating these systems and then creating the technologies that are supposed to thrive within these systems, our responsibility is to make those systems sustainable. And what we're finding is that most of these systems were optimized for about the first 24 hours of their existence. You know, you sell out your 10K collection and maybe nothing needs to happen next because the mission was already complete. You created more demand than there was supply. Therefore, there was a short-term price bump and people got the money they wanted to take out of the system. Either it's the issuer or it's the initial speculator. And then it slowly dies. And there's no barrier to entry, so there's also no barrier to generating an infinite amount of supply of these types of projects. And there's no accountability to anonymous founders when the rug is constantly pulled. So sustainability was never considered in these systems. But when it comes to systems design, putting NFTs aside for a second, just thinking blockchains, period, in systems design, the sustainability matters. Having a strong foundation matters. The idea that we're going to build systems for issuing and trading and owning and using NFTs that are still going to be here in a decade. There's nobody in like the legacy world right now who believes that NFTs have that kind of staying power. They do think that it's an interesting revenue stream, and they'd really like to milk it while they can. But even they aren't really concerned about the sustainability. They just want to understand how it's going to impact their bottom line as brands and creators. It's only for us as the builders, really, to be considering what is it going to take to make this technology sustainable, both on the technical level, how we build the architecture for NFTs, but also how we construct the language around it, how we talk about them, and then also how we regulate them. What is going to make this something that can be a renewable ecosystem as opposed to burning out every creator and collector who touches it because they all have such a negative experience that they'll never return, and not only that, they'll salt the earth so that nothing else can grow.
So NFTs are incredibly important for the evolution of blockchain. For the reason that, you know, blockchain as such is a technology that is pretty invisible. We can think of it as a very special database, right? But database is not very cool. It's not something that I can see. There's no visibility of it. We often talk about how blockchain is missing on this like killer app that will put it on a map of the world so everybody understands what blockchain is. And we can look at that when Bitcoin came about and, you know, people were sending it back and forth. It was very playful. And then like Satoshi Dice game came out and half of the transactions on the Bitcoin blockchain happened to be on the Satoshi Dice app because it was just something to do with your Bitcoins. And then when CryptoKitties came out as an NFT collection on Ethereum blockchain, totally overwhelmed Ethereum network because it was like, oh, I can do something with my ETH. It's finally something that I can do with my Ether. Something visible, right? And when NFTs showed up, it was for the first time face to the blockchain technology. And there were kind of two parallel realities unfolding. One maybe from the insider point of view and one from looking at the evolution of blockchain as in itself. From the insider point of view, we have creators, we have buyers, we have speculators. We talked about people who got in, who sold, who cashed out, and all that is both great and a little bit not so great because we don't want to have all this negative PR now with NFT projects maybe not being successful and things like that. But NFTs did succeed in bringing to the masses understanding that, oh, blockchain is this thing like NFTs. But now, when we do need to start changing the way we talk about it, because NFTs are not just little pictures of apes and kittens and stuff like that, and there is need to be understanding that NFT is pretty much a smart contract on a database and nothing else, more than that. We can attach different things to it, but that there is this moment of like, oh, it's a kind of a background technology that we learned about in regards to all these really fun, cool-looking artworks, but that moving forward, NFTs will be all kinds of different things that will be used in the background for managing attendance, managing all kinds of different things, not just art. So I think that slowly, that's why I used the word evolution. Blockchain is evolving and the industry is evolving with it and the way we think about that.
Yeah, so coming from the retail's perspective, no one cares, right? It's actually better for you when you're not talking about NFTs. When we're working with some of our, call them like big brand clients, I will ask them, please explain to me like I'm 5 what your NFTs are without actually using the word NFT. A few months ago, we did an activation with Universal Studios where we had like 200,000 people running around the theme park during Halloween just collecting these different items. And did they know that they were playing with NFTs? No. Did they know that they had a like MoonPay wallet that was created for them in the background? No. They just had a great time running around doing the scavenger hunt. And for them, like they fully understand, like Universal is taking the time to think about how this can make sense for us with our users, with our IP inside this larger universe. But does it matter to that, 10-year-old girl who loves Jurassic Park and she just got there on Saturday morning that she has an NFT inside of her wallet? She doesn't care whatsoever. But she is used to the experience that she has inside of Roblox and League of Legends. So even if you did open it up to say, hey, there might be some crypto something involved here, we might be at a point now where they're interested in figuring out why. But to end it, no one cares that it's actually an NFT.
Yeah, these are great points. I think this speaks to the idea that we had the face of NFTs, like you said, and they were profile pictures, and they were pictures of apes or another animal, and that kind of got it to some level of adoption where people were consuming these or at least were aware of them. And now we've regressed a little bit, right? Where we oversaturated the market with that implementation of the technology. And it has allowed us to reevaluate more useful implementations of what NFTs can be. And like we talked about, rework the way we talk about them. Maybe we don't even mention that they're NFTs, right? There's a lot of companies out there that are they're using the technology and users may not even know. I want to dive into kind of some of the future of where NFTs go from here before we run out of time. So, just kind of going down the line, or if you guys have your favorite hopefulness or things you guys know that are being worked on with NFTs. For me, it's the idea and the implementation of what they're calling executable NFTs, XNFTs. The idea that you can kind of distribute arbitrary application binaries via NFTs. So you could think about this as a replacement or another solution to something like an Apple App Store or a Google Play Store in order to deliver arbitrary applications. That's just something I think is pretty exciting, but I'd love to hear what you guys think are some exciting future applications for NFTs.
I've got one that still hasn't happened the way that I want it to. This is fun. One of the main reasons we started HODL and then MoonPay is because I grew up playing way too much World of Warcraft. Still have my account. Have never been able to actually sell or buy anything that I have spent time acquiring inside that game. And it's a place where it does make sense. Like, I am running around with my backpack, with these mounts, with these swords, with these legendary things. I am an active user across different franchises in there. But it very much changes the model of what they're working with. And so I believe it's very much on the horizon. Joe, I think you gave us like 3 to 5 years. I think we will have in-game NFTs that I can, sell it toward just, going through like a little wallet connection. But we are definitely not there yet.
I have a very distinct perspective on this, so I won't talk about it for terribly long. But for me, obviously, the missing piece for NFTs is the same thing that I say is the missing piece for blockchains, period, which is the idea that all of the data that is being used on these things is completely public to everybody. And a lot of the utility for NFTs, yes, it comes from what we're talking about, like this idea of provable ownership of something anywhere that could be infinitely extensible if somebody wants to build their own program for rewarding active World of Warcraft users, and Blizzard doesn't do it, but a different gaming company wants to like Blizzard won't necessarily allow that because they don't want their users poached by somebody who can build a better experience for their players. They like their walled garden. If we want to open up these walled gardens, there's a lot of things we have to do, but one of those things is this privacy aspect. And I talk about this a lot in the context of ownership. It was actually NFTs that allowed us to explain exactly why privacy was so important to the blockchain. You don't think about it so much when it's something less tangible, like my bank account transactions. Maybe I don't care all the time on my blockchain, like that everybody can see what I do with it because I don't do all that much. Maybe I don't have that much money stored on it. Maybe it's just for playing around, whatever. As soon as it's something linked to my identity, my reputation, ownership, a provably scarce social asset, then they care a lot. So the missing piece that we've been trying to provide in the secret ecosystem and with our NFT ecosystem is, what if NFTs had depth? What if they had their own ability to have not just public metadata pointing to a picture of an ape, but private metadata where you could prove only the owner had access to that information, or only that owner had the right to do that. Now you start looking at NFT use cases that are more like data marketplaces or recording real estate transactions and deeds on the blockchain, those types of meaningful crossovers to real-world applications beyond gaming and media that rely on some sort of fundamental privacy protection that lives on the same decentralized systems that protect our ownership. They also protect our data. So I think that we'll be having a very different conversation on this stage in a year as like secret NFTs gain more traction. We have hundreds of thousands of users. We want millions. As we gain traction, now people are going to be doing exactly those things that I'm saying. And when we say the word NFT, we won't be only thinking about pictures. We will be thinking about real-world assets with real adoption, with real money behind them, and we'll think about how blockchain is helping us secure that ownership.
You know what Ticketmaster is doing, They are not talking about NFTs, but every ticket will be an NFT. And also what you mentioned, real estate, many other different possibilities with NFTs, but let's say also for us, it's like, okay, one is PFP NFT, but then how you create additional utility to it, what you do for, let's say, your community, how they can benefit from it, So that's why from there we are building the game, in-game assets, characters, playable characters, and of course we want our community, we want these users to be happy, to have something in return. We also have to understand, like I talked about earlier, for people, it's like step-by-step process. And I don't think we are quite there yet. We would like to be, but I think we will still need to have some time, and some progress still needs to be done, in my opinion. This is how
I think that's great points. I think I heard something in another panel today that I really liked, and it's just the idea that the space as a whole, sometimes we just need to slow down a little bit and think about what we're doing with a little more intention. I want to thank everybody that was here today. I think that pretty much wraps up our time. Appreciate the panel. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.